Manchester United were a mess. Ruben Amorim was sacked with the club sitting in 13th in late November. We came in, stabilised the club in episode 1, but the numbers say that's not enough. If we want Champions League football, we have to hit very specific targets. And right now, the numbers don't lie. Welcome back to the Man United statistical rebuild in FM26. Now, this isn't any rebuild. It's based on realistic data from FBref, and all signings are going to be made using in-game statistical data. It's not Moneyball. We're not looking to pinch pennies and save money. We are buying the best players that are available by their data. In episode 1, we focused on stabilising the club, fixing the worst areas and improving where we could. In episode 2, we've got one clear objective: qualify for the Champions League with a top 4 or 5 finish in the Premiership. Let's start with the hard truth. Over the last 5 seasons, 4th or 5th place in the Premier League has averaged around 68 to 70 points. That's our first target. Then let's look at goals. Top 4 teams usually score around 65 goals and concede fewer than 45 across the season. Here's our Champions League benchmark. If we don't get close to those numbers, we've failed this episode's brief. It's as simple as that. So here's where we are at the end of season 1. 56 points, 16 wins, 8 draws and 14 losses. So how far off are we from those Champions League qualification targets, and what does the data say we should actually fix first? At the end of the season, we had scored 63 goals, but we need to get to 64. Defensively, we conceded 57 and our aim was 43. This tells us 2 things. We're not creating enough high quality chances that we're taking, and we're allowing too many shots in dangerous areas and conceding too many goals. So our mission is clear for this episode. Statistically upgrade so that we're scoring more goals and creating better chances, and statistically don't allow as many shots on our goal so that we concede less goals. And with that, recruitment was driven by a need to improve in certain statistics, as well as by the player sales that we had after season 1. Barcelona made Rashford's loan deal permanent, and joining him in leaving the club was Luke Shaw, Mason Mount, Lisandro Martinez, Radek Vitek, Alti Bayindir, Manuel Ugarte and Diego Dalot. Casemiro also left on a free transfer at the end of his contract. So this gave us a big transfer budget and a number of holes to fill in the squad: goalkeeper, left and right back, central midfield and a link-up striker. But when we're looking for signings, we're not looking at reputation. We're only looking at data and the underlying numbers. For a goalkeeper, we're focusing on save percentage. Last year in real-life Premier League, the top 3 goalkeepers had a save ratio of over 74%. For a forward, we're hunting for an upgrade on Joshua Zirkzee. That means high non-penalty expected goals per 90, shots in the box and involvement in chances. Towards the other end of the pitch, we need someone to replace Casemiro and Manuel Ugarte, who's going to help kill attacks before they become expected goals for the opposition. So we're looking at defensive dual win rate, aerial dominance and how often they win possession back. So every transfer we make in the summer has one key objective. Let's increase our goal output and reduce our goals conceded. That should get us into the Champions League places. Chelsea's Philip Jorgensen topped last year's in-game goalkeeping statistics with a whopping 83% save ratio. He therefore fitted the bill wonderfully for what we needed, and we signed him for £45 million. Kasper Dolberg gave us exactly the profile to fill our striker need, and he was signed for £24.5 million. We're betting on his underlying numbers will translate from the Eredivisie into goals and assists for us in the Premier League. In midfield, Adam Wharton joined for an initial outlay of £70 million, rising to 94. His underlying numbers were superb. They matched those of Casemiro, and he justified the huge investment. In midfield, he was joined by Cashew Sano for £8.5 million. Signed as a rotation option, he gives us depth and ability in defensive numbers. At left back, replacing Luke Shaw was Brighton's Ferdi Kadioglu. Superb in his tackles, passes the ball well and completes 21% of his crosses. We're expecting him to create a high quality and a high number of chances this season. At right back, it was one Portuguese to be replaced by another. Thiago Santos was signed from Lille for £25 million. Superb output from crosses and passing, as well as tackles in Ligue 1, suggested we had picked up a great replacement for Diego Dalot. I didn't want to sell Dalot, but I could not turn down £70 million from Chelsea. That meant our final squad had good options, significant depth, ability, and most importantly, underlying numbers to back them up. The numbers from season 1 also suggested we just conceded too many goals, most of those coming from good central areas. To fix that, we forced the press to go wide, restricting access to the centre of the pitch. The underlying numbers also suggested we need to be more aggressive in our tackles, so we encouraged the team to tackle harder. Our ball progression through carries was also lower than the numbers suggested, so we asked the fullbacks and the false 9 to dribble more. These aren't tactical change for the sake of it, these are things the data has suggested we need to do. Halfway through the season, and here's where we stand. Our target for points was 69, we have a projected points total of 68. Our target for goals was 64, we're projected to hit that mark dead on. And projected for goals conceded was 43, we're projected to concede 42, so we are beating that metric. All in all, it's very close to the metrics we need, and come the end of the season, this could be touch and go. In games like this against Chelsea and Man City, the story is in the XG and how we perform. Against Chelsea, we created 1.29 expected goals against Chelsea's 1.52. This is the overperformance we were desperate to avoid from last season. In this game, we were bailed out by a poor defensive performance by Chelsea. This overperformance is just not sustainable throughout the season. The game against Man City showed the kind of dominance we need, 3.06 expected goals against their 1.98. It was a smashing Manchester derby victory in what was otherwise an even game with the other stats. We created good chances and we made them count. However, these instances, the Chelsea game, the Man City game, they seem to be equaling each other out, as our XG position was equal with our actual performances, with very little difference between the two at the midway point. The final stretch is all about whether the early season model was right. Did our signings and tactical tweaks actually move the needle? Would we just edge into the metrics needed and qualify for the Champions League? Would there be a surge in overperformance from another team to make our challenge harder? Here's the verdict. We finished on 71 points, we scored 63 and conceded 37. Remember our Champions League benchmarks. We needed to score more than 69 points, we hit 71. We had to score more than 64 goals, we scored 63. We had to concede 44 goals or less, we conceded 37. So by our own rules, we have statistically earned a Champions League spot. We only missed out on one key metric, goals scored, by one goal. But do you think we've actually made it? Before we look at the league table, let's have a quick check on the other statistics around our tactical tweaks. In terms of the changes we made, we certainly conceded less goals, and that can be deemed a success. We picked up more yellow cards and red cards, but it seemed to help us overall. We'll stick with it, and our yellow card count is actually still below the 5-year average. After asking our fullbacks and false nine to dribble more, we saw a dramatic improvement in progressing the ball through dribbles. We carried the ball more than the 5-year average, 224 times more. This was a huge improvement on season 1. We saw an improvement of over 400 more dribbles from last season. Alongside our Premier League campaign, we had a very successful Europa League conference run. With massive results along the way, we beat Girona 5-2, Rosenborg 10-1, Bromby 5-0, all on the way to the final. The final was against Bologna, and youngster Chido Obi proved the deciding factor, assisting a 71st minute equaliser and scoring a dramatic late winner. We got the win and lifted the trophy high, but could we do the same with the Champions League trophy within our 5-season timeline? And the Premier League? A very solid 4th place finish. We did do enough to secure Champions League football to come back to Old Trafford next season. So before we wrap up, let's quickly review our new signings and some returning loanees from season 1. Andre Onana spent last season in Turkey, and he didn't really impress. He didn't impress here either this season. I tried to sell him last summer. I'll be trying to sell him again. Rasmus Højlund came back to the club to play back up to Sesko and Dolberg. His loan spell in Italy was pretty poor, and his return here wasn't much better. 1 goal and 5 assists in 30 appearances, albeit 27 of those did come from the bench. He's unhappy with his game time, and honestly, I think I'm ready to move him on. We can sell him, and if we don't replace him, we can give Chido Obi the backup role for next year. Jadon Sancho was a strange one. 5 league starts, 27 appearances off the bench, but underperformed his XG by 3, and he created very little. Lots of dribbling, no end product. With his contract expiring, there's no reason to renew. So on to the new signings, and we'll start at the back. Philippe Jorgensen did exactly what we brought him in to do, make saves. In 34 league games, he posted the 2nd best save percentage in the league, well up in the 80% range again. Only 38-year-old Martin Dubravka beat him, and we're not going to be signing him. Jorgensen stays as our number 1. Thiago Santos grew into the right-back role brilliantly. Once he settled, there was no looking back. 26 starts and an average rating of 7.16 in the league. 89% pass completion, 80% tackles won, and an insanely good 41% cross completion. A massive upgrade on Delo, who we sold for £70 million. Thiago Santos is locked in as our starter for next season. On the left, Ferdi Kadioglu was just as good. 30 league starts, 91% pass completion, 72% tackles won, and another whopping 36% of his crosses completed. A huge improvement on Luke Shaw, and absolutely no need to replace him heading into Season 3 either. Keishu Sano did exactly what we bought him in for. Solid rotation in midfield, 7 starts, 16 sub-appearances, and excellent underlying numbers. 94% pass completion, 85% tackles won, 64% of his headers won, and over 10 possession wins per 90 minutes. Dependable, happy to be rotated, job done. Our big money signing, Adam Wharton, was outstanding. 31 starts, 92 pass completion, 73% tackles won, 57% headers won, and 8.7 possession wins per 90 minutes. Although his numbers do sit below Sano's, he played almost 2,000 more minutes over the entire season. He'll only get better with age, and unless Sano leaves, we actually don't need to touch the defensive midfield spot this summer. And finally, up front, Kasper Dolberg came in to replace Xerxes' creative role, and bizarrely, replicated his exact weaknesses. 0 league goals, underperformed his XG by 2, and only 0.5 shots on target per 90. He did more positively create 14 chances for his teammates and posted 0.23 XA per 90. He's been useful, but definitely upgradable. Most likely he'll become a backup option for next season. If you'd like a full in-detail player review of the whole squad, make sure you go and check out the extended version as a YouTube member. Now, it will cost you a little bit of money, there's no pressure to do it, it all supports the channel, but there will be a few little extra things happening for the members from now on. Next episode, we raise the bar again. Finishing in the Champions League qualification places is one beast, but going to a Premier League title race and eventually coming out on top, that's a whole nother monster. If you want to see how far this Man United team are off those numbers, then remember to subscribe and I'll see you back here in episode 3. You can catch up with episode 1 by clicking over there, or you can jump into my other FM26 data-driven saves by visiting the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, the numbers don't lie. If you'd like to support the channel a little bit more, you can become a YouTube member like the legends that are on your screen now.